Welcome to Study Time, a televised home learning program produced by Rwanda Education Board.
Hello students, a very warm welcome again in biology lesson. And today I'm very pleased to be with the senior 2 class. Senior 2 class of biology. Students, we are still on the same unit, which is unit 14, sexual behaviors and sexual responses. I think you remember we discussed about what are sexual behaviors and sexual responses. We talked about puberty stage in both in girls and boys. We talked about challenges that happens between boys and girls. So today we're going to have a lesson 2, which is people and sexual relationships. So before we start our lesson, I would like to give you the learning objective of the lesson. We're going to have 2 learning objectives of the lesson. After this, studying this lesson, every student should be able to recognize the sexual relationship require emotional and physical maturity to become mature in terms of the sexual relationships. Number 2, to describe what you call sexuality, age, and even culture. How should we consider the sexuality and even the age and even our culture? All right? So students, before we start our lesson, I would like to remind you to get a pen ready, a book ready, and you start taking notes and even doing some activities with me and even some home assignment and homework. Student, if you have it, bravo. Let's start our lesson of today. Good. So the lesson of today is concerning about people and sexual relationships. So we're going to go through that and we discuss it. Okay? So when we talk about, if you still remember, we talked about what are the challenges that puberty girls and boys face. Do you know that? So we said some of the challenges. For the case of the boys, there is some they start going to drug abuse, alcohol taking because of the age and peer groups. When it comes to girls, we talked about unplanned pregnancies that are common here today. Young girls, they are getting pregnant at an early age, all right? So that's why I had to bring the idea of telling the parents they have to be more careful, more responsible for their children at the age of puberty and adolescent stage, all right? So let's have now the introduction of the lesson of today. People develop different types of relationships, ranging from acquaintance to friendship to romantic relationships, all right? How are they going to be varying? Most of the people form a romantic relationships, and this involves falling in love, making commitments, all right? When you fall in love, you also have to make commitment. We're talking about people and relationships. So the intimate relationship brings a sense of stability and even security. All right? Partners in healthy relationship should have the following characteristics. What are the partners that are in healthy relationship? All right? What are the most characteristics we should have to discuss today? They should be able to have these characteristics. Number 1, treat each other with love and respect. Be honest to each other. But I'm talking about those who are at the age, but also when you have a relationship, what you call a healthy relationship, you must be able to be honest to each other. Spend time with each other. Take a special interest in activities that each likes. Respect each other in terms of more emotional, physical, and sexual limits. Speak honestly about their feelings. So these are the things that we must be able, these are characteristics of what you call a healthy relationship. Now, you see the diagram. I was talking about, let's have an emphasis on what you call respect each other in emotional, physical, and sexual limits. Number 3, take a special interest in activities that each other likes. Let's see the diagram here. Let us have this diagram. What do you see? Teenagers engaging in fun activities. They are playing, they are enjoying. These are kind of relationships that people, they have to have. So this is a diagram. Everybody is seeing the diagram. They are playing, they are enjoying, they have their likes, funny activities. So it is important to note that sexual relationship between close members or families, like father and a daughter, is unacceptable. Such a relationship, which means father and a daughter relationship, is unacceptable. It should be considered as a taboo. In Rwanda culture, there is nowhere the father should be having a strong relationship. When we talk about a relationship, I'm talking about sexual relationship with a daughter or any something that they are related in. And that is a taboo in the society of Rwanda. And it is also punishable by the law. This form of sexual relationship is called incest. It's called incest. If it happens, children born normally suffer from what you call genetic disorder, lack of vigor. When you have some kind of, when you produce with when you get married to your sister, someone with your siblings, and the other that you are closely related, you can be either have what you call genetic disorders. Niho usanga kenshi bavuga ngo yubyanye na mushiki wa mubyari bigorye. What does it mean? It means that there is what you call, this one is brings what you call genetic disorder. Because you have the same gene. You have the same genetic makeup. If you have a disease and your sister has a disease, it is easier to be expressed. In biology, you call it to be, it has been genetically inside, but can just be expressed phenotypically outside through the offspring you are producing. That's why it is a taboo. So the following are forms of sexual relationships. So let's talk about sexual relationship, forms of sexual relationships. We're going to talk about what you call exogamy. What is exogamy? We're going to talk about monogamy and others. Let's talk about exogamy. Since incest is a taboo in Rwandan society, individuals are advised to find their mates outside of their families. You can't get married to some of you that you are belonging to the same family. You are belonging to the same father. You are belonging to the same mom. So marrying someone that exogamy is a taboo. Exogamy, that is marrying someone that you are belonging to the same family, same father. So you have to go outside of the family and you get married to another one. All right? And this is, I said, in Rwandan society, this is a taboo. Individuals are advised to find their mates outside of their family cycles. Family cycles, you go out from the family cycles, you go and marry someone outside. So this is known as exogamy. We have endogamy. What is endogamy is also another form of sexual relationship. It's the opposite of exogamy, where an individual is allowed to marry their distant cousins. Exogamy, that is, you go and get married to some of your cousins which are distant from you. They are outside of your family cycles. All right? So let's talk about monogamy. This is another what you call sexual relationship. This is a long-term relationship between a man and a woman in which none has other sexual partners. We got married to one wife and one man. That is monogamy. In Rwanda society, monogamy is the legal form of sexual relationship. It is legal. That is, you get married to one woman. We talk about polygamy. This is a long-term sexual relationship to having more than one wife or husband at the same time. That is polygamy. That is having more wives or husbands at the same time. An example is a man having more than one wives, or a women with more than one man. You find a woman has more than one man. The Rwandese government is not allowed to support polygamy, sexual relationship. It is not allowed in Rwandan culture. So we have what we call casual relationships. What are casual relationships? Casual relationships. I've talked about exogamy, I've talked about endogamy, I've talked about polygamy, I've talked about monogamy, and indeed we have what we call casual relationships. This is an act of having sex with someone you don't have any attachment to. In this case, when one engages with sex workers, talk about sex workers, these are sex workers, these are some of the people who are working for financial gain, prostitution, prostitutes. So casual relationships are dangerous since they can be a source of what we call sexual transmitted diseases. So we're talking about what we call people under sexual relationships. Okay? So casual relationships are dangerous since they can be the source of sexual transmitted diseases, which includes HIV and AIDS and other forms of sexual transmitted diseases and other forms of sexual transmitted diseases, and even what we call physical abuse. Talk about physical abuse, where people, they just abuse someone and say, he's a prostitute. She's a prostitute, all right? So there's also another form of sexual relationship which is called dating relationships. What are dating relationships? This is when two people, a boy and a girl, go out together. It leads to what we call engagement, and even later they can get married. So dating should not be done. Dating should be done, not should be done. I'm emphasizing should be done carefully. What does it mean? It means when you're dating someone, when you're having what you call a dating relationship, you have to do it carefully. You should avoid what you call sexual intercourse. You should not do sexual intercourse before getting married until an appropriate time comes, e.g. after marriage. So it means that sexual intercourse can lead to what you call unexpected pregnancies. That's why you have to be more careful on that. Or sexual transmitted diseases. Not only that, it can also lead to what you call sexual transmitted diseases, such as HIV/AIDS. So it means that on that dating relationships, I'm emphasizing on that very much. All right? This should be done carefully and should avoid sexual intercourse until an appropriate time comes. That is after marriage. Because very many outcomes can come from there, as I told you, unexpected pregnancies, sexual transmitted diseases, and etc. All right. That is teenager, a girl refusing advance from the boy. See the diagram. The boy is asking for advance, doing sexual intercourse before marriage, and I'm mentioning what will be the outcomes. Young girls, take a note of that. Be more serious on that. All right? Refuse advance before marriage from the boy. All right? So you see, that is the diagram, and I think everybody is seeing the diagram. So let's talk about sexual problems and even sexual disappointments. Automatically, in those kind of relationships, there must be what you call sexual problems and even sexual disappointments. I think you are following me very well on that lesson. Sexual problems or sexual dysfunction refers to a problem experienced during any phase of the sexual response cycle, such as problem preventing the individuals or couples from experiencing satisfaction from the sexual activity. The following are some of the sexual disappointments. We're going to have sexual disappointments in men and even sexual disappointments in females. Number one is what you call premature ejaculation. Are you following that lesson? This is a condition whereby a man can delay ejaculation long enough to satisfy the woman. Impotence. That is another what you call sexual disappointment. This is the inability to produce or to maintain an erection Impotence occurs as a result of what you call fear, anxiety, diseases such as diabetes and even drug abuses. We have inflammation, blockage of the urethra that occurs as a result of what you call infection or due to what you call swelling of the prostate gland. That can also cause what you call disappointment. Those are some of the disappointment can happen in marriage. That is in terms of what you call, in terms of the males. Then in females, there are very many things that can also be having what you call sexual disappointment, what you call vaginal discharges. This is any abdominal discharge from the vagina. And it can be a wet discharge with irritating smell, especially after sexual intercourse. We have functional disorders. This is the inability of a woman to experience sexual pleasure and even satisfaction. And this results from emotional problems, feeling of the guilty, and even trauma. All these are what you call sexual disappointments. Let's talk about now sexuality, age, and culture. What is sexuality? It refers to anything to do with being a male or a female. Human beings have engaged in sexual relationship for long. The following are sexual behaviors are unacceptable in Rwandan culture. These are things that are not acceptable in Rwandan culture. We're going to go through these things that are not sexual, age, and even culture. We're going to start with the culture. Incest. I talked about exogamy. This is the act of having sex with a close relative. Some of their family cycles, you get married, you get sexual intercourse with some of their related in the family cycles. We said it is not allowed. We talk about what you call homosexuality. Homosexuality is not allowed in Rwanda. This is where people of the same sex are engaged in sexual relationships. The act of self-stimulation that leads to what you call sexual satisfaction. Anal sexual intercourse, doing sex through anus, is not allowed. That is supposed to be not allowed in Rwanda. This is the type of sexual activity in which the penis is inserted into the anus and such a things, which is not allowed, and these are some of the things that are not allowed, what you call sexuality, age, and culture. Rape. You have ever had very many people, very old people raping young girls, which is not allowed in Rwandan culture. So the act of forcing someone into sexual intercourse without a consent is not allowed. I'm mentioning it and emphasizing on that. Rape. These old people who are raping young girls, they are not allowed. It is punishable by the law. So rape, the act of forcing someone into sexual intercourse without consent is not allowed. Talk about adultery. Having sex outside a wedlock. Fornication. Such as things is not allowed. Fornication, engaging in sex before marriage. We talked about the dating relationship. So we bring out what we call fornication. That is engaging in sex before marriage is not allowed. Sex slavery. Get someone to make him to be in sex and slavery is also not allowed. The act of taking advantages of vulnerable individuals in forced commercial sex. I think we are getting it very clear. We talk about something like what you call, some of the people, they what we call human trafficking, where people could be taken for sex slavery in some of the Western countries. So this is the act of taking, maybe someone is poor, you get the advantages of being vulnerable of that individual, and you force her to what you call forced commercial sex. If you know it, if you know someone, report him or her to the police, and he'll be charged for the cases. So we have what you call prostitution, engaging in sexual relationship for financial gains. All right? So prostitution is also, because prostitution is very dangerous, because It can lead into very many diseases. It can lead into unprotected pregnancy, having an unprotected pregnancy. Not only that, it can lead you to financial, it can lead into what you call, suffering from STIs, sexual transmitted infections, and etc. Let's have, now, we are through with that. We're going to have what you call, we have been talking about sexuality, age, and culture. Now I'm going to aging. You have a good diagram. The diagram is there. We have an old man and even an old woman. They are on the age. They are on their age of. They are old and old couples seated in a park talking about their past days. All right, age in men. Of course, when it comes to age in men, there are very many things that happens in aging. Aging in male, the most common sexual dysfunction is to become erected. So that one is one of the dysfunction that can happen. This can be due to hormonal discharges, hormonal changes, not discharge, hormonal changes, as a part of the normal aging or due to underlying conditions such as disease. Where I find in male, a hormone which is testosterone in men declines with age. As the man gets old, the hormone decreases because these epididymis, these are no longer producing what you call sperms. And what happens? This hormone is produced by the testes in men, and this increases what you call sexual urge and even increases what you call libido energy for sexual intercourse. Let me have aging now. What will happen to male? Talk about the common sexual dysfunction in men and women is lack of desire and even arousal of sexual intercourse. This is due to a decrease in hormones which begins at menopause and even continues as a woman gets old. This decreases in hormones may also produce reduced muscles, or also bones mass, and even decline of energy. So sexual, it may result into vaginal dryness and decrease in libido energy and a decrease in ability to achieve the orgasm. Remember, we talked about some of the stages that are involved in what you call sexual. I talked about excitement, talked about a plateau, I talked about orgasm, we talked about even a resolution. All those stages, we discussed them. I think you still remember. Let's talk about violence of human rights now. Sometimes we talk about human rights violation. Human rights is a right that is believed to belong to justifiable to every person. And this is a right supposed to be enjoyed by each and everyone, irrespective of their position in the society, and violation of the human rights include sexual harassment, abuse, and even human trafficking. These are what you call violation of human rights. Children sexual exploitation. So some of the people, they have to exploit children, sexual intercourse. Child sexual exploitation is a type of sexual abuse in which a child is sexually exploited for money, power, or status. Someone uses the money, someone uses the power, and even uses the status to exploit the child and uses the child for sexual intercourse. Children or young people are tracked into sexual relationship by being offered money, so which is very dangerous. So you should not be, if someone gives you money to play sex with you when you are very young, report the case to the police. Some children and young people are illegally taken into foreign countries for purpose of sexual exploitation, and this is part of human trafficking. You know it very well. Sexual assault. Sexual assault is any forced or coerced sexual contact or behavior that happens without consent. So sexual assault includes rape, attempt rape, what you call child molestation, and sexual harassment or use of the threats. So we are ending our lesson. Before we end our lesson, Let's have a lesson assessment, and I think everybody is now aware of what we've been discussing. We're discussing about types of relationships. We discussed about how people should avoid of not having sex at an early age. We talked about the outcomes. We talked about sexuality. We talked about aging, how it happens in aging, how it happens in culture, and talked about what is something which is not allowed in our culture. We talked about what you call exogamy. So we have almost like 5 numbers. In these 5 numbers, you have to go through these 5 numbers, and I know we are going to be able to test your competence at the end of the lesson. We'll go through the numbers, and once you finish the numbers, you are able to understand what I've been discussing with you. Let me give you 10 minutes to go through that exercise. Bravo, I think everybody has done it, and it is okay now. Number 1, what are the effects of sex outside marriage? That is question number 1. What would you think would be the effect of having sex outside marriage? Number 2, suggest the factors that propagate sexual abuse of children. Number 3, how does culture affect sexuality? Think about how the culture would affect sexuality. Sebahizi and Senhwari recently celebrating 40 years in marriage. Suggest reasons why their relationship is still strong. These people, the Sebahizi and even the Senhwari, Mukanhwari or Senhwari, can use any name of your choice. They are recently celebrating 40 years in marriage. Suggest the reason why their relationship is still strong. Number 5, during adolescence and teenagers are exposed to challenges. What are these challenges? Teenagers and adolescents are being exposed to challenges. What are these challenges? B, and even how is it challenging the teenagers? So student, I think you are going through the home assignment and even the homework. Thank you very much, and I give you bravo for being with me in my lesson. Enjoy the rest of the day and see you next time. Bye.